My brothers and sisters, let me tell you something right now. Success doesn't show up wearing a name tag. It doesn't come tapping politely on your door. It doesn't whisper, it roars. And if you're going to get it in every field, yes, I said every field, you've got to hustle, you've got to hope, and you've got to hold on when the winds of life try to blow you back to where you started. Success isn't for the soft-hearted. Success isn't for the occasional. Success is for the consistent, the committed, the courageous. You can't be casual about greatness and expect excellence to sit down at your table. You've got to be hungry. We live in a world that sells quick fixes and overnight fame. But let me tell you, what comes quick often leaves quicker. What's built fast may fall faster. But when you build your life, your business, your vision, your destiny, brick by brick, principle by principle, storm by storm, you won't just succeed in one place. You will rise in every field. You're waiting on the door to open. Sometimes God doesn't open doors. Sometimes he gives you a hammer and says, build one. Don't ask for easy, ask for strength. Don't ask for shortcuts, ask for wisdom. Because if you're called to conquer, you need the courage to climb. Hear me now, you don't have to be the smartest, the richest, or the most connected, but you do have to be the most determined. Hell can't stop a person who refuses to quit. Failure can't hold a soul that's on fire. The harvest is waiting, the field is wide, the time is now, and you're not just called to succeed in one thing. You are anointed to break through in every field your feet touch. So walk bold, move fast, stay faithful, and let the world watch you rise. You see, many people admire the mountaintop, but they don't understand the climb. They clap for the spotlight, but they forget the struggle in the shadows. Everyone wants the crown, but few are willing to carry the cross. They want the glory, but they run from the grind. Let me tell you something that will separate those who merely dream from those who live it. It's not talent, it's not timing, and it's not a lucky break. It's that deep, down, unwavering, daily, sweat-stained pain, embracing choice to keep showing up. You've got to keep showing up when it's hard, keep showing up when nobody's cheering, keep showing up when the results don't seem to match the work. Because what you do repeatedly, what you do even when it's boring, even when it's exhausting, even when it looks like it's not working, that's where transformation lies. Let me break it down for you. Success doesn't come because of the fire you felt on day one. Oh no, success comes because of the fire you choose to reignite on day 30, and day 90, and day 365. Anybody can start. Anybody can get excited about the beginning, but it takes something different, something deeper, to keep walking when the feeling is gone, when the applause has faded, and all that's left is the voice inside you whispering, don't stop. We live in a generation addicted to the new. New ideas, new projects, new passions, but don't get it twisted. New doesn't mean necessary. It's not what you start that defines you. It's what you finish. It's what you carry through to completion. That's the difference between potential and power. And I've seen too many people full of potential, but empty in purpose, because they didn't stay long enough in the hard places for their gift to grow roots. You see, a seed doesn't bloom just because you planted it. It blooms because you tended to it, you watered it, you waited on it, you protected it from the frost, you believed in it even when it looked like nothing was happening. There are things in your life right now that may not be blossoming yet, but that doesn't mean they're dead. It just means you've got to keep digging, keep tending, keep trusting, and yes, keep showing up. And don't confuse movement with progress. Running around in circles might feel like action, but it's not going to take you anywhere new. This is about being planted, not just scattered. It's about getting rooted in the thing you're called to do and pressing your way through the dry seasons. Too many people quit when it gets quiet. They misinterpret silence as a sign of failure, but God does his best work in silence. The seed grows underground, the baby grows in the dark womb, the diamond is formed under pressure. And your purpose is being shaped in the stillness. Don't mistake the lack of noise for a lack of movement. Something sacred is forming. There's a cost to greatness, and that cost is often repetition. Getting up early again, studying again, praying again, apologizing again, trying again, failing, and standing back up again. There is nothing sexy about it, nothing glamorous. No Instagram highlight reels of the lonely nights, or the second job, or the internal battles. But that is where the real work is done. That is where the roots grow deep enough to hold up the weight of the dream. Let me tell you something else. The enemy isn't always a devil in red with horns and a pitchfork. Sometimes the enemy is comfort. Sometimes the enemy is the voice that tells you, you've done enough. It's okay to slack off now. But you've got to shut that voice down, because the moment you start to coast is the moment you start to fall. Greatness never coasts. Greatness keeps climbing. There will be days where nothing feels worth it. Days when the storm clouds gather and the winds howl, and the progress you thought you made gets washed away. And on those days, your strength won't come from adrenaline or emotion. It'll come from decision. You decide to keep going. You decide to rise again. You decide to put your hand to the plow and not look back. Don't romanticize struggle, but respect it, because struggle is the training ground of destiny. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Every delay is developing you. Every detour is shaping your endurance. Every tear you cried in private is watering the soil of your future. And let me speak to those of you who feel like quitting. I know what it's like to be tired. I know what it's like to pour yourself out and see no fruit. I know what it's like to wonder if anybody sees, if anybody cares, if it even matters. But I came to tell you it matters. Oh, it matters. What you do when no one's watching matters. What you build in silence will echo through eternity. Heaven is taking notes, and your reward is tied to your perseverance. Do not be seduced by flashes of success. What flashes can also flicker out, but what's forged, what's built through sweat, through sacrifice, through faith and fire. That kind of success endures. That's legacy success. That's unshakable success. You want to rise in every field, then first you must rule over your feelings. You must master your mornings. You must learn to tell yourself no. Not because you're denying yourself joy, but because you're chasing a joy deeper than comfort, the joy of seeing your life become the vessel it was designed to be. Success is not a sprint. It is a slow, sacred march. One foot in front of the other, one choice at a time. Every yes to purpose is a no to distraction. Every day you stay on the path, even when the path feels rough, you're gaining ground, you're earning trust, not just from others, but from yourself. And that's where the real victory lies. There is a quiet power in showing up. There is a fierce glory in refusing to quit. And there is a breakthrough waiting, not at the starting line, but somewhere down the road where most people give up. So don't you dare stop short. Don't you dare let the pain of the process blind you to the promise that's waiting on the other side. It's not the loudest who rise, it's the ones who last, so rise even if it's slow. Rise even if it hurts, rise when it's inconvenient, rise when it's lonely, because your future is tied to your faithfulness. And if you just keep showing up, day by day, choice by choice, you won't just succeed. You will become success, not because you rushed, but because you refuse to stop. There are moments in life when you stand at the edge of your potential, and you look out over a landscape that seems barren. You don't see the opportunity, you don't see the help, and you sure don't see the open door. And in that moment, something in you is tempted to fold your arms, drop your head, and wait. Wait for someone to discover you. Wait for the right time, wait for a chance, wait for a sign. But let me speak truth into your spirit right now. You were not made to sit by and hope someone comes to rescue your destiny. You were not born to lean on luck. You are not here to beg for permission. You were created to move. Some of the greatest breakthroughs don't begin with resources. They begin with resolve. You may not have the platform, the degree, the support, or the blueprint. But what you do have is the breath in your body, the fire in your belly, and the vision God planted in your heart, and that is enough to start. That is enough to take the first step. That is enough to get up from the place of delay and do something. Because your calling doesn't need to be confirmed by man to be commanded by heaven. Too many people are waiting for a perfect moment, waiting for someone to pick them, waiting for everything to make sense. But life doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to faith in motion. If you sit too long in a season of potential, that potential will begin to rot. What was once an opportunity becomes regret. What was once a dream becomes a burden. Because nothing weighs heavier than the chance you never took. You say, I'm waiting for the right connection. But what if the right connection is waiting on you to take the first step? What if the thing you're waiting on is trapped inside the thing you haven't started yet? You may be waiting on a door, but the truth is, some doors aren't meant to be found. Some doors are meant to be built with your own hands, out of broken pieces, out of painful lessons, out of long nights and little sleep, out of hope that refuses to quit. Stop measuring your readiness by what you lack. Stop asking, do I have enough? And start declaring, I am enough. Because the truth is, most of us never feel ready. Most of us never feel equipped. But if you keep waiting on clarity before you take action, you'll miss the very path that was meant to reveal it. Sometimes clarity comes after you move, after you leap. After you step out, God often doesn't light the whole road. He gives you just enough to take the next step. You don't need a crowd to start. You don't need applause. You need obedience. You need conviction. You need the kind of faith that says, even if I have to do it by myself, I'll do it. Even if no one believes in it yet, I will build it. Even if I'm laughed at, misunderstood, overlooked, I'll keep showing up. I'll keep grinding. I'll keep laying the bricks one by one. Because what starts small doesn't stay small when it's in the hands of someone who refuses to give up. You may be looking around for tools, and I came to tell you, you are the tool. The resource is already in your hands. You've got experience. You've got insight. You've got scars that taught you how to fight. You've got rejection that taught you how to be resilient. And you've got an inner voice that keeps pushing you forward when everything else says sit still. That voice is not lying. That voice is not naive. That voice is speaking from the depth of your assignment. Too many have traded purpose for passivity, traded calling for comfort, and while they wait, someone else is out there building. Someone with less talent, less education, less favor, but more fire, more commitment, more consistency. While others were planning and dreaming and talking, they were doing, and that's the difference between a fantasy and a future action. Let me speak to the builders, the ones who are tired, the ones who don't see the results yet, the ones wondering if the sacrifice is worth it. Hear me, nothing you're building in faith will be wasted. Not a single effort, not a single day, not a single tear. What you build in faith will outlast what others gain through shortcuts. It may take longer. It may cost more, but it will stand because you didn't build it on applause. You didn't build it on attention. You built it on obedience. You built it on vision. You built it on late nights and early mornings and gut-wrenching prayers that no one else saw. This life will try to talk you out of what you were meant to create. It will try to convince you to wait your turn. But if you listen too long to fear, you'll find yourself on the sidelines of your own story, watching others live a version of the dream that once burned inside your chest. No more waiting, not waiting for approval, not waiting for a guarantee, not waiting for things to be easy. This is the season to act, to write the vision and run with it, to start the business, to launch the ministry, to forgive, to learn, to risk, to stop watching and start working. The world doesn't need another wishful thinker. It needs a builder, someone who's not afraid to get their hands dirty, someone who will pick up what others dropped and carry it all the way, someone who can see a blank canvas and create beauty, someone who can hear silence and birth a sound that changes lives. That someone, is you. You've waited long enough. Now build. With trembling hands, build. With limited resources, build. With a broken heart, build. With nothing but a whisper from God, build. And as you build, heaven will back you. Doors will begin to open. Favor will begin to find you, not because you waited, but because you moved. Move in faith, move in power, move with the authority of someone who knows they've been called to create, because this world won't hand you what you've been promised, but if you build it, brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day, what you've built will speak for itself. The work will speak, the faith will speak, the legacy will speak, and when people wonder how you did it, how you rose without resources, how you overcame the odds, you'll simply point back to the beginning. To the moment when you stopped waiting and you started building. There are moments in this life when the weight feels unbearable, when the nights stretch long and silent, when the very breath in your chest feels borrowed and your mind is heavy with questions heaven hasn't answered yet. We all come to a place where we look to the sky and whisper, God, I don't know how much more I can take. And in those moments our humanity cries out for relief. It aches for the pain to end, the pressure to lift, the burden to roll away. But let me tell you something few are willing to say out loud. Some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet were not shaped by ease. They were shaped by endurance. They didn't come out of comfort. They came out of the fire. They came out of loss. They came out of silence. They came out of places that looked like defeat, but turned into altars where strength was born. We often want the path of least resistance, but growth doesn't live there. Destiny doesn't dwell there. You can't stretch without strain. You can't climb without pressure. You can't rise without a little resistance trying to keep you low. And yet, how often do we ask for the mountain to move instead of asking for the legs to climb it? How often do we pray for escape when God is offering endurance? Let me be clear. It's not wrong to feel weary. It's not wrong to long for relief. But don't let that desire rob you of the deeper thing God is trying to do in you. Sometimes heaven doesn't calm the storm because it wants to train the sailor. Sometimes God doesn't lower the heat because He's forging something in your character that comfort can't produce. He's making you stronger. You may not like the process. You may not enjoy the stretch. But the person you are becoming is worth every tear, every sleepless night, every unanswered question. Because on the other side of what you're walking through is a version of you that hell can't shake and fear can't silence. We are taught to chase ease, to desire the soft life, the shortcut, the easier way. But the truth is, every great calling comes with a cost. And the ones who truly make a difference, whether in their families, their communities, their businesses, or their generation, are the ones who didn't run from hard things. They leaned in, they stood up. They grew up, they endured, and because they endured, they emerged. You don't get power from the path of comfort. You get it from the pressure that comfort avoids. You get it from walking when everything in you wants to sit down. You get it from loving when you've been betrayed, from staying when others left, from believing again when life gave you every reason not to. That kind of strength cannot be faked. It cannot be bought. It is earned in the silence of struggle and the persistence of faith. Stop asking for the road to be smoother and start asking for your back to be stronger. Stop begging for the load to be lighter and start believing that you are being built to carry it. Because what you carry now is not just about today. It's preparing you for what's next. You're in training for territory you haven't even seen yet. There is a future with your name on it that demands the strength you are building right now. And I know, the fire is hot, the load is heavy, but the weight is not there to crush you. It's there to condition you. It's building something inside of you that can't be undone. The blessing you're praying for will require the strength you're forming now. The doors you're about to walk through will not open for the person you were. They will open for the person you're becoming. It's time to shift your prayer. Instead of saying, make it easier, try saying, make me wiser. Instead of crying, take this away, say, teach me through it. Instead of begging, stop the storm, say, help me walk on water in the middle of it, because you were not born to break, you were born to rise, you were born to endure, you were born to carry things others dropped. You were born to lead when others lost their way. You were born to lift your voice when others stayed silent. But you'll never do it if you let ease be your God. You'll never do it if comfort becomes your compass. Look at every hero of faith, every leader of legacy, every voice that changed the world. And you'll find people who didn't escape the trial. They walked through it and they came out carrying wisdom. They came out with scars that tell stories. They came out stronger. You want power, you want depth. You want the kind of life that echoes beyond your years. Then ask not for the storm to stop, but for the strength to stand in the middle of it and declare, still I will trust, still I will build, still I will love, still I will keep going. You can't fake resilience, you can't shortcut maturity, you can't microwave legacy. These things are slow, cooked in adversity, tested in fire, refined in waiting. And if you're walking through something heavy right now, know this. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You are being readied for something greater, something more demanding, something more glorious, and yes, something that will call for strength you haven't needed before. That's why you're feeling the pressure. It's a signal. Heaven is strengthening your core. So take heart. Breathe deep, wipe the tears, stand tall. You're not losing your mind. You're gaining your mission. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. You're not breaking down. You're breaking through, and when you come out on the other side, you won't even recognize yourself. You'll carry the calm of someone who's been through the fire and came out flame-proof. You'll speak with the clarity of someone who wrestled in the dark and found the light. You'll lead with the authority of someone who didn't just read about strength. They became it, and that is something worth praying for. So stop looking for the shortcut. Embrace the stretch. Stop begging for comfort. Welcome the challenge. Stop asking for the trial to end. Ask instead to be transformed by it, because ease may feel good for a moment, but strength will carry you for a lifetime. Some things in life you can't just wish for. You can't just think about them, dream about them, talk about them, and expect them to show up on your doorstep wrapped in a bow. There are moments when you've cried enough. You've prayed enough, you've waited long enough, and now it's time to get up, wipe your face, and move. Move like you believe what you prayed for. Move like the door is already opening. Move like the chains have already fallen off. Because this life will never hand you what you won't fight for. It will never deliver what you won't dig for. It will never reveal what you won't reach for. And no matter how deep your belief is, belief alone doesn't shift the earth. Action does. You can have the greatest vision in the world. You can have divine insight, prophetic dreams, and powerful promises spoken over your life. But if you won't work, if you won't move, if you won't build, then all you've got is potential wrapped in passivity. Some people sit with faith in their hearts and frustration in their hands because they don't understand the principle of motion. Faith isn't just something you hold onto. It's something you act from. It's not just a feeling. It's a force. It's a seed, but it needs to be planted. It needs to be watered. It needs to be cultivated with diligence, with discipline, with motion. And hear me clearly, nothing of lasting value is built on belief alone. It takes sweat. It takes tears. It takes staying up when everyone else is sleeping. It takes showing up when nobody's clapping. It takes grinding when there's no spotlight. That's the part people don't post. That's the part that doesn't trend, but that's the part that builds you. It's easy to speak a good word, but it's another thing to build a good life, to show up day after day and lay one more brick, one more rep, one more rehearsal, one more revision, one more phone call. That's the difference between people who wish for a better life and people who walk into one. You want favor, but favor finds those who are moving. You want opportunity, but opportunity opens to the hands that are already reaching. You want success, but success doesn't fall, it's forged with focus, with commitment, with faith, that walks and hands that hustle. Let me tell you something. There's power in your prayers, yes, but there's also power in your persistence. There's power in your planning. There's power in your preparation. God blesses motion. God breathes on momentum. He honors the hands that stretch and the feet that walk, because sometimes what you're asking him to do, he's waiting for you to start, and I get it. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you're waiting until you feel qualified. Maybe you're waiting until everything makes sense. But let me lovingly tell you, clarity often comes in motion. You won't get the whole picture standing still. You won't get the full answer from the couch. Some revelations only show up on the road. Abraham didn't know where he was going. He just went. David didn't have the king's armor. He just moved. Esther didn't have a guarantee. She just stepped in. And Jesus didn't just preach to the crowd. He walked, he touched, he wept, he bled. If the Son of God could sweat for his purpose, why are you afraid to sweat for yours? This isn't the season to be cute about your calling. This is the season to get to work, because destiny isn't found in the daydream, it's found in the doing. It's not found in the fantasy, it's found in the faithfulness, and if you're looking for ease, let me lovingly say, ease won't get you there, but excellence will, execution will, endurance will. Don't just believe God can do it. Move like he's already doing it. Don't just speak it, build it, don't just hope. Hustle. God didn't give you gifts for decoration. He gave them for activation, for manifestation, for impact. But if you leave them sitting on the shelf, they rot. Unused gifts become heavy burdens. Unstirred talents become bitter regrets. There are dreams that are dying inside of people, not because God didn't want to do it, but because they wouldn't get up and go. Your breakthrough is not trapped in heaven, it's waiting on earth. It's waiting for your effort to match your expectation, waiting for your courage to match your confession, waiting for your grind to match your grace. And let me tell you, God is not afraid of your hustle. He gave you hands to build and a back to bear the weight. So stop apologizing for how hard you work. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop waiting for everything to fall into place before you start. You want a new life, build one. You want freedom, walk in it even if your knees are shaking. You want results, be relentless, and I'm not talking about striving in your own strength. No, this isn't about working without God. It's about working with him, co-laboring, listening while you move, trusting while you try. This is about knowing that grace is not an excuse for laziness. It's the fuel for persistence. Grace doesn't cancel work, it empowers it. You can't just speak it. You have to sweat it. You have to put your hands to the plow and not look back. You have to keep building when no one sees. You have to keep pressing when no one believes, because the results you crave are waiting on the other side of what you refuse to quit. You will not stumble into greatness. You will not back your way into legacy. You will build it, brick by brick, day by day, with prayers in your mouth and tools in your hands. That's how you rise. That's how you change the trajectory of your life. That's how you shift generations. There is something sacred in the sweat of a believer who refuses to quit. So don't just dream, design, don't just wish, work, don't just talk. Take the next step and watch what happens when your belief becomes a blueprint and your hope becomes a hammer. You'll look back one day at what you created with your two hands, with trembling faith and relentless drive, and you'll realize it wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was grace meeting grit. Power meeting persistence, favor flowing through faith that moved, and that, my friend, is how you change everything. There comes a point in every life where the question must be asked, do I want it badly enough to fight for it, or do I just think I deserve it? Because there's a vast difference between longing and entitlement. One reaches with open hands, the other demands with a closed heart. One runs toward the mountain, the other sits waiting for it to flatten itself. One will crawl, claw, bleed, and sacrifice to grow, while the other just waits for someone else to hand them the fruit. Let me tell you something. Nothing worth having comes without hunger. Nothing worth building comes without fire in your bones. There is no greatness without grit. There is no power without pursuit. If you've got a dream, you're going to need a drive. If you've got a purpose, you're going to need pressure. You're going to need to want it more than your comfort, more than your pride, more than your excuses. We live in a time where too many people want the crown but not the cross. They want the throne but not the thorns. They want the reward but not the race. But that's not how life works. That's not how purpose works. That's not how destiny works. You can't collect without commitment. You can't reap what you haven't sown. You can't live off someone else's sacrifice. Some people are sitting in silence not because God didn't speak, but because they refused to move. They thought the promise would come without process. They thought the blessing would be delivered like a package, not pursued like a passion. But God never promised ease. He promised increase, and increase comes with pursuit. You've got to want it. You've got to chase it. You've got to be willing to show up even when nobody calls your name. You've got to serve when nobody's watching. You've got to sweat in the shadows before you ever stand in the spotlight. You've got to say, I may not be there yet, but I refuse to stay here. That is the voice of those who rise. Let me say this plainly, comfort is a killer. It will lull you to sleep and dress it up like peace. It will keep you quiet when you should be speaking. It will keep you still when you should be moving. It will hand you just enough to survive, but never enough to grow. And if you let it, it will feed your pride and starve your potential. That's what happens when you think the world owes you something. But the truth is, nobody owes you anything. Nobody is coming to give you the keys to your own calling. You have to dig them out yourself. You have to get up when you're tired. You have to show up when you're overlooked. You have to keep going when you're empty. That's not punishment. That's preparation. That's how champions are born. The ones who rise are not the most talented, the most connected, or even the most gifted. They are the most hungry. They're the ones who keep pushing even when the doors stay shut. They're the ones who make their own table when no one gives them a seat. They're the ones who build when others complain. They are not waiting. They are working because hunger fuels vision. Hunger sharpens focus. Hunger silences distractions. When you're really hungry, you don't have time to compare. You don't have time to gossip. You don't have time to sit around bitter because someone else got there first. You're too busy climbing your own mountain to worry about who's watching. Hunger moves you, it ignites you, it humbles you and drives you at the same time. Entitlement, though, it robs you. It kills your curiosity. It makes you think you've arrived when you've barely begun. It puts your faith in comfort and your hope in handouts. But hear me, you cannot build a legacy on what you think you're owed. You cannot pass down what you haven't bled for. The next generation doesn't need more entitlement. They need more examples. And examples are built by the ones who refuse to wait for someone else to do what they were born to do. Do you want to leave a mark? Then get to work. Do you want to break a cycle? Then start swinging. Do you want to go higher? Then get lower. Serve, learn, stretch, sacrifice, grow. Stop waiting for someone to call your name. Call your own name. Speak over your own life. Stir your own faith. You have no idea what's possible when you stop acting like you're owed something and start living like you're entrusted with something. Because you are. You've been given breath, life, time, gifts, and space. That is holy, that is weighty, that is not something to waste. So many people walk around frustrated not because they lack opportunity, but because they won't move toward it. They want the job, but won't learn the skill. They want the platform, but won't pay the price. They want the promise, but not the patience. But the promise is tied to the process, and the process requires you. All of you, your discipline, your sweat, your time, your submission, your action, your yes day after day. Stop waiting for someone else to make you care. Stop waiting for the feeling to be perfect. Stop waiting for applause before you act. If you're going to rise, you're going to have to hunger for it. You're going to have to thirst for it. You're going to have to burn for it. There's more inside you than what you've tapped into. There's more fire in your belly than what you've let out. But it won't come to life in complacency. It comes to life when you shake the dust off, when you stop settling, when you stop blaming, when you stop expecting life to hand you what only you were meant to fight for. You're not a victim. You're a vessel. You're not here by accident. You're here by assignment. And if you've got an assignment, you've got a responsibility. You've got a mandate to move. You've got a call to climb. You've got a duty to grow. There's a fire coming back to those who have been too quiet. There's a roar rising in those who have been too passive. You thought you were waiting on life, but life was waiting on you. It's time to get up, time to press in, time to chase what's yours with holy urgency. Let the world chase comfort, you chase greatness. Let others talk, you build. Let others demand, you serve. Let others rest on names and titles. You let your work speak. Because those who go the furthest are not the ones who sat still and demanded more. They are the ones who got up, got moving, got their hands dirty, and refused to settle until they saw what was inside of them come alive in the world. You don't need a handout. You need a fight. You need a stretch. You need the kind of fuel that makes you weep and rise in the same breath. You need that inner fire. And when you finally tap into it, when you finally wake up to what's already inside of you, there won't be a mountain high enough, a system tight enough, a door locked long enough to stop what you're about to become. So rise, dig, climb, and move like everything depends on it, because it does. It's a dangerous thing to stop climbing while there's still mountain left. It's a dangerous thing to pitch a tent on the first level when the blueprint shows 5 more floors. And it's a tragedy, yes, a tragedy, to let one victory become the ceiling instead of the floor. Some people reach a milestone and confuse it with the destination. They taste a little bit of fruit and call it the harvest. But that was never the full measure. That was never the final chapter. That was just a glimpse, a sample, a foretaste of what could be if you don't stop now. The moment you start treating a beginning like it's the end, you limit what you were born to become. You may have broken through something last season. You conquered what others said you couldn't. You started the business, you got the degree, you paid off the debt, you stepped out when fear said stay. And yes, that was real. That was beautiful, but it was not the total story. That was the launch, not the landing. Just because you've seen increase in one part of your life does not mean you're finished. It does not mean the mission is complete. If you're still breathing, then you're still building. If there's still air in your lungs, then there's still assignment on your name. The problem is we love comfort, we love applause, we love the feeling of having made it, even if we're only halfway there. We frame that one moment and hang it like a trophy instead of asking, what more could I grow into? But trophies don't build legacies. They collect dust while the rest of your life begins to shrink around them. Because if you stop moving, everything around you starts dying. You were never meant to just master one lane. You were meant to multiply. You were meant to stretch. You were meant to take what you've learned and let it bleed into every other area of your life. Your discipline at work ought to transform your health. Your wisdom in business ought to strengthen your family. Your courage in leadership ought to spill into your spiritual life. But too often we compartmentalize. We isolate one success and settle there like that's all there is. And that's where stagnation begins. That's where pride creeps in. That's where the hunger dies. And when the hunger dies, the progress slows. You can't let a win in one area blind you to the work that still needs to be done elsewhere. You can have success in your career and still be starving in your soul. You can have the admiration of people and still be empty behind closed doors. You can have money in the bank and still be bankrupt in your peace. Don't let external results fool you into thinking the internal work is done. There's always more to refine, always more to heal, always more to build. And this isn't about striving endlessly. It's about growing consistently. It's about becoming more whole, more rooted, more aligned with the fullness of who you're called to be. You didn't come this far just to look successful. You came this far to be complete. You came this far to bring order to every corner of your life. And that takes awareness. It takes humility. It takes the willingness to look at yourself and say, yes, I've conquered here. But over there, I still have work to do. And that's not a curse, that's not a failure, that's the sign that you're alive, that you're still evolving, that God is still shaping you. Don't make the mistake of calling yourself finished when you're still under construction. Look at the greats, the ones who left impact, not just impressions. They didn't stop at one breakthrough. They didn't settle after one success. They kept learning. They kept expanding. They kept reinventing. They asked better questions. They stretched into new places. They challenged what they knew, because deep down they understood this life is not about reaching a destination. It's about fulfilling a calling. And calling doesn't stop just because you reached a goal. If anything, that goal was preparation for the next dimension. So if you've seen some progress, if you've walked into some answered prayers, don't sit back. Stand up. Ask, where else am I called to grow? If your mind is strong but your body is weak, start training. If your finances are flourishing but your relationships are fractured, start healing. If you're leading others but not leading yourself, start digging deeper. Because success in isolation is never sustainable. But growth across your entire being, that's where power lies. Don't let one area of strength distract you from another area that's crying out for attention. You are not finished just because people clap. You are not done just because you feel better than you used to. You are not complete just because you made it out of the valley. You have territory to take. You have layers to uncover. You have fruit yet to bear. God didn't gift you for mediocrity. He didn't pull you out of darkness just to leave you halfway delivered. He didn't plant vision in you just to see it grow in one field and wither in the rest. No, He's calling for alignment. He's calling for wholeness. He's calling for overflow. And overflow comes when all the parts of you begin to rise together. When your mind is sharp, your spirit is anchored, your relationships are strong, your discipline is intact, and your purpose is clear. That's when your life becomes a testimony. That's when your walk starts speaking louder than your words. That's when you shift from chasing success to carrying significance. So don't stop now. Don't shrink. Don't let the first taste of victory make you forget how far you still can go. Celebrate, yes. Be grateful, absolutely. But keep pressing, keep building, keep transforming, because you haven't seen the best of yourself yet. You haven't tapped into all the wells inside of you. You haven't finished the story you were born to tell. And when the hunger to grow meets the humility to change, you become dangerous to anything that tried to keep you average. This is not the finish line. This is the opening act. So step into the next chapter. Stretch into the next level and build the kind of life that doesn't just echo success in one room, but resounds through every hallway, every door, every space you enter, because your journey is just getting started. Now listen to me, because this is where the line is drawn. This is where the decision is made. This is where you determine whether you will merely visit success or live in it, not just in one area, but in the fullness of who you are. This isn't the time to slow down. This isn't the moment to grow complacent. This is the time to elevate, to take everything you've learned from that first victory, the strength, the wisdom, the patience, the scars, and carry it with you into every other room of your life. Don't leave it at the door of your career. Don't box it in your business. Don't limit it to one success story. Let it overflow into your discipline, your health, your faith, your family, your character, your calling. What you've built in one area proves you can build in another. What you've conquered in one field proves you can conquer more ground. The same persistence, the same fire, the same perseverance that brought you out once will take you further if you keep going. If you refuse to shrink, if you reject the lie that one breakthrough is enough to settle in, this world needs more than part of you. It needs all of you. Your children need more than your titles. They need your time. Your body needs more than your pace, it needs your peace. Your soul needs more than noise. It needs your nourishment and your purpose. Oh, your purpose will wait patiently in the background, whispering, there's more in you. There's more to rise, there's more to give. Because there is. There is more. This was never about chasing applause. This was never about chasing outcomes. This was about becoming a steward of the gifts in your hands, about managing the garden of your whole life. About not just bearing fruit once, but abiding in it. The most dangerous place to stand is on the edge of success, thinking there's nothing else to climb. But you didn't come this far to plateau. You came to rise. You came to expand. You came to shatter every limit that ever tried to define you. So take the limits off. Take the labels off. Take the lid off of your faith, your thinking, your vision. Lift your eyes and realize you've only just begun. That thing you thought was the pinnacle, it was just the foundation. That win you celebrated, it was just your training ground. That level of growth, that was the seed, not the harvest. There are still ideas inside of you that haven't been spoken. There are still books in you that haven't been written. There are still dreams that haven't come to life. There are still people waiting to be blessed by your obedience, your consistency, your courage. So don't die at the door. Don't sit on the step. Don't live in the hallway of your potential. Step into every room, tend to every field, answer every call. Because when you rise across the board, not just in one area, but in every dimension, you don't just succeed. You shine, and your light will be the kind that doesn't fade after one chapter. It will be the kind that keeps growing, keeps reaching, keeps building something eternal. You haven't seen your best yet. You haven't felt your full strength yet. You haven't become all you're destined to be yet. But if you keep going, if you keep growing, if you keep refusing to settle, then what you thought was your peak will become your past. And your future, it will be a story worth telling, not just in one room, but in every corner of the life you dared to build with everything inside of you. Now go finish it, and finish it well.